everybody, it's great to be back with you for this week's live stream. So I'm Thomas and I'm joined by Karian.
Hi guys, Karian. Nice to see you again. And we will have first a quick presentation of Thomas and then we will have the classic Q&A.
Yeah, before all that though, there's just one quick message we wanted to share with everybody. I'm sure most of you have noticed that in the top charts there are two games that are quite similar. There's the game that we published with Neon Play called Roller Splat, and there is quite a similar game that has been published by Taptail, which is a maze. So we know this is kind of weird. It's not so common to see games that are so similar in the tops at the same time. And we just wanted to kind of reassure you on a few points about that, what that meant. The first thing, obviously, we've always been copied. You know, this market, there's always been copy, whether in testing or when we launched, and it's something we have to accept. The best product and the best UA team always wins. And we have the best UA team, and Roller Splat is the better product. So we'll just continue, you know, basing our strategy on making the best games possible. A quick message also to the guys over at Neon Play. So definitely we're doing everything we can, and we're taking all the actions necessary to make sure that your game stays in the top, and that you get, you know, the reward that you deserve for creating such a cool game. And definitely we will take those actions for any game, any developer. You know, we try to protect as much as possible the studios we work with in those cases. A bit more general message, and we'll move to the presentation. It's not, you know, useful to copy games on this market. Taptail probably want to be in the top charts in order to get more visibility as a publisher. We understand that I mean, from our understanding, that's their strategy. That's not, you know, what you should be doing. For us, it's, you know, negative for the ecosystem. It's hurting, you know, the publishers that are publishing, but more importantly, it's hurting the studios that are making these games. And that's not the environment in which we want to work. We want to work in an environment where people own their ideas and are able to get revenue from them. So yeah, just a quick message on that, and we thought it was important to clarify. We'll be moving on to the presentation right now, and it's actually quite linked to Roller Splat. It's called Simple Games Work Best. So I guess you guys are now seeing the I guess you guys are now seeing the presentation. So we just wanted to go over very quickly what the market is. You know, what are the games that we're making? What are the people that we're targeting, and what that means in terms of the game design that you guys should put in practice. As you know, we told you that you should be smart about your prototyping, and you know that needs to be reflected also in the simplicity of the games that you're making. So who are our players? As you know, everyone is our player. It can be like a hardcore Apex Legends gamer, but much more importantly and much more massively, it's just, you know, normal people going about their day, from a 70-year-old grandmother to a 7-year-old kid. And these people have, you know, just play out games on the go. So I took this picture because it's a good example of the kind of game design that you should be making. The girl in the middle is obviously playing a game. She's playing with one finger. Like, you cannot do a double joystick shooter for this market. You know, it just doesn't work. People need to be relaxed, not threatened, be able to play like very short sessions at a time. This is the largest market. This is the largest market in the world. This is technically everybody who has a smartphone. And that means that your games should be super simple, because that is the common denominator. And that's a really positive thing. You can make games for just hundreds of millions of people. So we know this like theoretically, but when we look at it, like, I think it's important to give examples. And when we look at it like in depth, we see that in the games that we published recently, 3 of our best performing games are Roller Splat, Grass Cut, and Fireballs 3D. And these games are super simple. It's absolutely not, you know, negative when I say they're mindless. You can play them like really easily with one finger, not think about it. And Roller Splat, you cannot even die. Like, it's so not threatening that you cannot even die. And I definitely think, and we definitely think, this is super important to keep in mind. The games that you're making, yes, they need to be smart. You need to think about your game design to give a really good feeling to the player. But more importantly, they need to be ultra casual games. Super simple, arcade, immediate understanding for the user. As I said, a game that is simple doesn't mean a game that is not smart. You know, we're working on smart prototyping. You need to take a bit of time to think about the kind of game that you're making, but you also need to take a bit of time to think about how you're making that game and the level of execution that you're putting in the game. And that's what we mean by smart prototyping. We don't mean that the game should be more complex in terms of controls or game design. They still should stay very, very simple. So I know you guys know this already, but just a quick reminder, simple games does not mean, going back to prototyping a game every 2 days. The smart prototyping is still very much, what we think is the good technique, but it's just a quick message to make sure. Also, we have a set of guidelines, which you guys all know. We've been talking about them for a while. I think it's always important to go back to these guidelines, to think of these guidelines when you're making a game. These are the 5 core elements of what an ultra-casual game is. Without these elements, the game isn't ultra-casual. And if you check all of our hit games, they all have these elements down to a T. They're snackable, the session length is short and it gives a lot of reward. They're system one, they get understood in like 2 seconds. They're very YouTubeable, very dynamic, a lot of action going on. They're very forgiving. As I said, in Roller Splat, you cannot even die, so you cannot get more forgiving than that. And they're gameplay first, and what we mean by that is that the gameplay is always the most important. The visuals come second, everything comes second. You just need that one little nugget of a gameplay, which is really exciting, really fun, and everything else is secondary to that. So yeah, just a quick reminder on what the guidelines are and to continue. These are all examples of games that could be considered ultra-casual. There are 3 games which, on face value, seem ultra-casual, but all of these games had really bad stats when we were testing. So why is that? For me and for us here, it's because these games, fundamentally, they don't respect the guidelines that we have. Take the first one on the left, for example. Sure, it's simple, it seems quite snackable, it's clear what you have to do, but it's super threatening. It's really not forgiving. You have the lava, it's stressful, you have to have a lot of quick reflexes. Could you play this on the bus while standing and the bus is moving? Probably not. The second one, again, it's a fun concept. You have a little stack that's getting hit, you need to control your speed. Interesting game. Is it, snackable? Yeah. Is it system one? Kind of, but for me and for us, it's really not gameplay first. You don't understand what you have to do automatically. The color scheme is a bit weird. The control seems to be a bit bizarre. You don't really understand what the whole system is. And people will see those videos, those CPI videos, for like a few seconds on Facebook. If they don't understand like this, then it's not going to be something that's going to work. And the last one, again, has a lot of great elements for a game. Like on face value, you can take this game and think, oh, this is a super interesting hyper-casual game. But if you take a few more moments to think about the guidelines, does this game look forgiving or non-threatening? Really not. It's like there's a lot of stuff chasing you, you're really in danger all the time, it's very menacing. You cannot play this game if your concentration is not 100%. Again, this is not a hyper-casual game, or it is, but it's not a complete hyper-casual game. There's some elements are missing. So those are just a few examples to maybe just explain what we're saying by simple games work best. It's always hard when you're making a game to really think about everything. So just remember, the guidelines that we have, they're a template designed to help you think about your games in a critical way. And these examples show what guidelines, what it looks like when you're not respecting certain of the guidelines, even though rationally you're making a hyper-casual game. And that's it. Thanks a lot for your attention. I hope it was a clear presentation, and now